Okay, welcome. Today we are going to be looking at arrays in PHP, and to do this, you need to have XAMPP installed, which will connect MySQL database to your program or your PHP. So install it. Just download and install that app. After that, run my Apache server and MySQL. Mine is on 3307 because I have MySQL server on. However, if you find it on, there will be conflicting, fighting for 3306 port. So just follow the details I've shown you. Go into config and change to 3307. It will work. So after that, launch my PHP admin. If you can get this page, it means you've installed successfully. So you can see there are some databases you have there. In case we are doing databases, shall be able to go over that. However, now we are going to be writing simple code in PHP. Today we're going to look at arrays, okay, in PHP. So when you look at my localhost or directorate, I have a folder called practice, and I have CSS, I have HTML, I have PHP that I'm working on. However, we are interested in PHP, so we're going to be saving our file today in PHP. So after that, you also need to have the code editor. There are many. You can have the Visual Studio, you can have Atom, there is Sublime. All these three that I've shown you here and many more that I don't have installed are good. So for today's lesson, let's use Visual Studio. And here, when you open a file, you have to open it in the same directorate, in that it should communicate with your server that will be posting on your browser. So here you have to allocate XAMPP in your My Computer or in your C, where you installed it. Inside the XAMPP folder, you look for a folder called htdocs. And into htdocs, that's where you put your folder for the work. Let's say today we're going to use practice, and under there we have PHP. So in this folder we're going to be saving our file, and the first file by default is index, and this is it. So PHP works with HTML. HTML just gives it a body, and PHP does the let me see, the coding. Okay, so today we're going to look at arrays in PHP, which is our week 7. And in week 7, we look to use cognitive or cognitivism. So this one we are going to be explaining later. As for now, inside our PHP, we are going to be taking you through into different types of arrays. For starters, arrays give us a way to solve multiple values into a single variable. Just like every variable, you can declare a variable, let me say name, and you give it a value, say Deus or charity or what. So as you declare this variable, these values inside have positions. You can have 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So indexing uses those positions to call values, okay, as we are going to be seeing. So let's give an example here of a name, which is a variable, and it will take on a value, let me say, of those. If you want to print this in your browser, you simply write echo name, the variable, then it will print for you Deus, because it knows it has recorded Deus as the value of the variable. So using that very analogy, we are going to be exploring in the indexed arrays. Okay. So one of the things that we're going to be doing in this lesson is I'm going to be showing you examples. I'll show you addition. I'll show you counting, merging, and declaring these variables, arrays, and in groups you'll be able to do this. I'll give you a few examples that you also do, and then we see how we move on from the indexed arrays to associated arrays. Okay, there are three types of arrays. There is index arrays, there is associative arrays, and multidimensional arrays. However, today we are going to look at indexed arrays. They are the most common, easy, and widely used. So indexed arrays use indexes to store values. The indexes begin from 0 to 1, 2, 3, and so on. So the first string, let me say we are using strings because we're going to see strings and numbers of integers. So the first string, even if it has many characters, it will be stored as a single value in that position or in that index. Let me say the first index is 0. The name that is in there or the string that is in there will be seen as a single value. Okay, so let's go ahead and get an example in this. The example we are going to be looking at is, let me say, a name. We want to have a variable name capture a value. Let me say Michael. Okay. How to declare an indexed array or an array? The first method is you write a $sign, that is for a variable, and let me say it's name, and you put equals to open square brackets and then semicolon. That is an array that has been declared. Okay, it's the first of declaring an array. So an example for this, let me say we want to declare the names of the students we have in our senior 6 class. So we shall have a variable senior 6 and then declare or put 3 names there. Okay, the first name, let me say we have Roger, and then Michael, and we have Roger, Tails, and Charity. So you simply put Roger, single quote, comma, another value, and another comma, and another value, and then you put a semicolon. That's how you declare your variable. And then if you want to display it, you simply write echo and you put the variable and open square bracket, put the position or the index of what you want to declare. So now we want to see Dales in senior 6. So we simply put echo senior 6, a variable, and then index number 1. So because you know indexes begin from 0, in this position, Roger is taking position 0, index 1 is Dales, and index 2 is Charity. So if you want to print Dales, we simply put echo senior 6, index 1. So we'll come to the second position and pick the name that is there. That is how indexed arrays work. Okay, if you have your computer open, please make this example with me. Write this variable, open your text editor and open up a file in your htdocs. I want you to save a folder there. You can call it arrays, and then inside there open or create a file and write this example for me. However, change those names to your first name, your second name, and your middle name. Okay, then you echo senior 6 and then put your second name there. I would like to see it on your computer. Then we go to another example. Okay, so example 2, the way we can declare an array, we have 2 ways. The first one we saw in the first example, where you write the variable equals open square brackets and then close square brackets, and you put a semicolon there. So the second one, you write the variable equals then array. Array is already a keyword in the system. When you put it, will give you open brackets, and then there you put your variables of your values inside there. And of course, the values you use single quotes and comma to separate them. So that is another way of declaring indexed arrays or arrays. Okay. Now, this one we have, let's put senior 5 and then put Sarah and Dan. And I would like us to echo Dan, who happens to be in position 1, which is the index 1, because we begin from 0 to 1 to 2. So if you put 1, it will bring Dan. That is example number 2. Okay, let's run it in our web browser. You echo senior 5 and then ask for the second position, which is position number 1, the index. Save the file and run, refreshing the web browser. Should be able to declare done, just as we see there. Okay. Now we are going to see numbers, because we've been using strings, names, and stuff like that. So now let's use numbers, because arrays can also deal with numbers. They can add, they can multiply, they can do any mathematics that you want to do in there, you can with arrays. So declaring numbers is a little different. Even if you don't put single quotes, integers, it will read them. It will know that this is a number. So let's declare age. Our variable is age, and the people in our class are 21, 22, and so on and so forth. Let me see. Now we would want to see these ages, or the variable printed of the ages of the people in our class. So you simply use the keyword of print print readable. If you put echo, it will return an error. It will not read the integers. However, if you put print readable, it will print the edges. Okay. So let's run it in our browser and we see. Refresh, and then there it is. It gives you the edges of the people that you have in your class: 21, 22, 20, and 19. Okay, so let's go back and see. Let us now look at something else. We are going to, hope you've done it on your computer. Please, I would like to see all of you showing me the edges of people that are in your class. Okay, so now we are going to look at overwriting a value in arrays. So you can have maybe those edges, and then someone maybe you miswrote or has a different edge and you want to update it. It is simple. You simply index it and change it. Let me say someone is in the second position, you simply overwrite what is in the second position by writing let me say senior 6, which is let's use edges. Use edges and then put index 1, which is position 2, and then you equate it. When you give it here, it's like you're overwriting whatever is there. So instead of 22, let's put 23. Okay. So you should have edges, and then open brackets, square brackets, close square brackets, 1 inside there, and then you put 23. So if you run this in your browser, you will see that the edges of the second person have changed from 22 to 23. So that is overwriting the variable or the values that are in the variable in our arrays. Okay, we have seen declaring a variable, declaring array. We've seen the two different ways in which we can declare these arrays. Then we've also seen overwriting the values in the arrays. Let's see. Let's adding new values now. Let me say we wrote 5 of our students, and then there is a 6th student we didn't write, or the 5th that we didn't write if there have been 4. So simply write the variable, and in the square brackets, don't put any value there. The system will think that you're saying, okay, let me add this new value at the end of the string or at the end of the list. So for example, if you want to add another edge, we simply write edge and then the array, and then we equate it to the number we want to write. Let me say 25. So if we print arrow, the edge, you will see that another number is added from 19, which is our last value, and then we'll see the 4th value, which is 25. That's one way of adding a new value to what you already have. There is another way you can also do it. This time, what you do is you also write the value, the variable, okay, and you put array push. Use a keyword. The keyword is array push, and then the way you do it, it is array underscore push, and then you open brackets and put the variable that you want, which is edges, comma, and then you put the value you want to put this time. Let me say we are putting 25 or 26. Okay, so let's say this person is 26. So now let's print and we see what it returns. Okay, it returns, yes, it has added another value, which is 26. Okay, so now the other thing is counting. Let's look at some other function we can do in indexed arrays. We can count the values that we have, and counting is also a keyword. So just write echo and you type count, and then you put your variable in the bracket. And when you run this in our browser, it should return the number of entries, or the number of people that you've captured their age. Okay, sorry, there is an error here. There is a space between echo and count. Okay, so simply just put a space between echo and count, and then run it. It should run successfully, and this time it has to show you 6, because we have 6 entrants in our variable, which is edges. We have 6 people, yes, whose edges we've captured. Let's see merging, how we can merge these arrays. Let me say you have class S5 and S6, and then you want to merge the names, the people that you have in there. So you simply write, you declare a new variable, which is going to capture the contents of the two variables that are existing. So let me say I would write my class, and then I say is equal my class is equal to array merge, and then inside array merge I'll put my two variables, which are senior 6 comma and senior 5, and then when I print my class, it should be able to return all the students that I have in senior 6 and senior 5. Okay, let's run on this in our browser. As you can see, we have Roger, Joss, and Charity. Those are in senior 6. And then we have Sarah and Dan, who are in senior 5. But now it has concocted them, or it has joined them. And it's the list of all the students you have in your class. Okay, that's what we have looked at today. And I expect us to also do these examples in our groups.